Make a video because we're going to be having a midterm next week, and on that midterm we're going to have exponential growth and decay questions, but they're not going to be what you've been doing. What have you been doing? You've been graphing from scratch, right? You make an XY table, you do consecutive integer inputs, which is all great and it's awesome, but we're going to have some multiple choice questions. So I think the best way to prepare for that section of the midterm next week is to go over some multiple choice questions right now on this video and teach you how to approach them, right? Let's check out the first one. Now, we've already said that you could determine or eliminate questions based on the k value, the asymptote value, and based on if it's a growth or a decay function. But what if you have a situation like this? For example, is this function, is it a growth or a decay function?
Decay.
Decay. Why is it a decay function?
Because when you divide,
It's less than 1, that's right. Now, what does decay mean? It means that from left to right, it approaches your asymptote. It decays towards your asymptote. So if you look at option A, it's decaying. But then again, B is also decaying, and C is also decaying. So the problem is this growth or decay situation didn't help us because all of them are decay and this is decay. So what do we do now? Let's take a look at one of these at a time. Option A, what you should do on your test, I mean, it's kind of like making an XY table, but you have to remember that a graph is composed of an infinite amount of answers, an infinite amount of coordinates. So you could pick any coordinate you want on this graph. Like this is a nice coordinate, but I actually picked 2 for you so you could see them. But on the test itself, you're not going to have these dots. So you could pick any coordinates you want that are nice. So like this is a nice coordinate right there, the coordinate -4, +8. What that would mean, -4, like let me just explain this. If I plug in a -4 for my x, I should get out a +8 for my y, if this is the correct graph. Or the easiest one, 0, 2. What that's saying is if I plug in a 0 for x, I'm supposed to get out a 2 for y. So let's check that out. If I plug in a 0 right here, what do I get right here? 1. 2/3 to the 0 is 1. And 1 times 9? 9. Is that 0, 9? No, it's 0, 2. So right there, I know that this guy cannot be it. Make sense? All right. So let's move on to the next option. Option B. Could it be this guy? Well, we need to test some points. We have the coordinate right here, 0, 9. And that one does work, right? We just did that. If you plug in 0 for x, let me actually write the coordinate here. Plug in 0 for x, you will get 9 for y. 0 right here gives you a 1. 1 times 9 is 9. But how about this guy right here? That's a coordinate 2, 1. So the coordinate 2, 1, let's see if it works. What this coordinate is saying is if I plug in a 2 for x, I'm supposed to get out a 1 for y. So if I plug in a 2 right here, and I might as well show this work, we have 9 times 2/3 in parentheses, and we're going to go to the second power. And let's see if by plugging in this 2, we get out a 1. Well, I plug in the 2, that's really 2/3 times 2/3. What is 2/3 times 2/3? 4/9, right? 2/3 times 2/3 is 4/9. And when you multiply it by 9, what do you get? What happens when you say 9 times 4/9?
9 over 1.
You get 4. Right? So for my input 0, I got out 9, but for this input of 2, I did not get out a 1. I actually got out a 4. Does that make sense? Yes. Guys, you're going to have to do this on your own on the midterm next week. And if you don't get this down, there's no way you could get an A on the midterm. Okay, you need to know this. You got to know how to strategize like this. All right? So B cannot be it because this coordinate right here should be up here at 2, 4. Okay? So no, cannot be it. Let's get this out of the way. And let's look at this next one. Option C. And these are the two coordinates that work. We just did the math for 2, 4, right? 2, 4. And we did the math for 0, 9. And they do work. If you plug in 0, you will get out a 9. If you plug in 2 right there, it becomes 4 9ths. The 9s cancel, you'll have a 4 left over. So the input 2 does give you the output 4.
Wait, you can plug whatever X.
You can plug whatever X value you want, but the thing is this, it's supposed to be a nice X value. Now, what do I mean by that? Not a nice X value, but a nice X and Y value. So this is a nice coordinate. This coordinate's nice right here. You could have plugged in a 1 and gotten out a 6, right? That's a nice coordinate to try, 1, 6. So if you do plug in a 1 for X, it's going to be 9 times 2/3. And I will get out a 6 for my answer. Check it out, 9 times 2/3, put the 9 over 1. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 divided by 3 really is 6. So do you see how you plugged in the X value of 1 and you got out the Y value of 6? So when you see your 4 graphs and you cannot eliminate any of the graphs, you're going to have to go down to the coordinates. And what do you do with those coordinates? You plug in X and see if it actually gives you the Y. Now, I would not pick a coordinate like right here. That's saying if I plug in 4, I'm supposed to get out something like 1.7. I don't know. That's a horrible one to pick, right? So pick nice coordinates. Let's try another. Okay, we have 4 options here, A, B, C, D. Which ones could I eliminate based off of the B value? What is this a growth or a decay function? Growth. So is this a growth function? No, that even though it looks like it's growing, it's not growing, it's decaying to the value of 0. It's decaying from left to right, it's approaching your asymptote, not approaching positive infinity or negative infinity. So A cannot be it. How about B? This is a growth function. Is this a growth function? No, from left to right it's decaying towards your asymptote. So it can't be that one either. Okay, so this is gone, that's gone. How about C?
No.
Is this a growth function?
Yes.
Yeah, from left to right is growing. Is this a growth function?
Yes.
Yes, so it's either C or D.
D looks better.
D looks better. You have to verify. So if you're saying D, you're going to have to verify. Let's try D. But in order for you to say D, you're going to verify. And what are you going to be testing? What coordinates are you going to be testing? 0, 8, because that's a coordinate right here that I give you. And on the actual test, they don't show you those points. You need to actually find them, right? And the other point is what? The other point is 1, 10. Okay? 1, 10. Anyhow, if I go for 0, 8, that means 0 is X. If you plug in 0 for X, 5/4 to the 0 power really is 1, and 1 times 8 really is 8. So this coordinate does work. Let's try the next one. Plug in 1 for X. That's 5/4 times, or to the 1 power, that's simply 5/4. But then you have to multiply it by 8. So when I go 8 times 5/4, does it really give me 10? Well, it depends how you want to tackle this problem. Do you want to multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom, or do you want to cancel out the 8 and the 4? 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. So you are correct. You plug in 1, you get out a 10. You verified it, you're good. This is the correct answer. Get it? If we would have tried this other one over here, it wouldn't have worked. Like for example, this coordinate right here is a coordinate 0, 1. If you plug in a 0 right there, you're not going to get out a 1 as an answer, so this didn't work. So that's what you're going to have to do on the test next week. Let's take a look at one more. Growth or decay? Decay. So could it be this guy? No, because that's a growth. Out of the way. Could it be this guy? Yeah, that's a decay. Okay, but I need to verify. Let's test some points. Give me a point to test. 1, 2, and 0, 8. Which one do you want to do first? 0, 8 is easy. Plug in 0. Do you get out an 8? Yeah, because that becomes 1. 1 times 8 is 8. So 0, 8 works. So far, so great. How about 1, 2? Plug in a 1 right there. And let's see what happens. We're going to have 8 times 3/4 to the 1 power is 3/4. Put the 8 over 1. 2, that'd be 6, huh? So when I plug in a 1, I get out a 6, right? And when I plug in a 1, I don't get out a 2. So that didn't work. Scratch that. That didn't work. How about this guy? So this is the answer, huh?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No. It's not right. No, it's not right.
It's not right. Why not?
The green line.
Your asymptote.
Yeah, the asymptote.
The asymptote. Guys, pay attention. Because if you test the coordinate 0, 8, it's going to work. And if you test the coordinate 2, no, that's not 2, that's 1, 1, 6, it's going to work. But the problem here is that there's this asymptote, which is at 2, which would mean that this equation right here, it would have to have a plus 2 at the end of it all, a k value of 2, in order for it to be shifted 2 units up, in order for it to be approaching that asymptote of y equals 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So even this one that has the right coordinates is not the right graph because it originally did not have the plus 2 right there. So it's impossible for this to be correct. So this one is definitely wrong, even though it actually had the right values. That's wrong. So let's get that out of the way. So obviously it's this guy right here. This one does have those correct values. If you do plug in a 0, you will get out an 8. So it's the correct coordinate, 0, 8. And we also have a 2, or not 2, again I said 2, 1 and 6. If you do plug in a 1, you will get out a 6. So this is the correct answer. Yeah, you will see that on your multiple choice answers, some of the graphs, whether the growth or decay, they are shifted. Some are shifted up, shifted down. And you need to be able to identify that your shift comes from this k value out here. Okay? And that's about it for this video.